says, if I have a questionable item on my background, do I tell the employer in the interview? So I don't know what your definition of questionable means. So I guess it depends on questionable. Because for some positions, one, they don't do background checks. So you don't want to go sharing all your business to a company that don't care. Two, some things on your background won't affect some positions. So I'll give you a good example. So if you're looking for a social service position, that if you have something on your background where you harmed a child or fighting, those things would get you. But if you have something like petty theft or you wrote a bad check, those things won't get you as much. And truth be told, you should not share those informations until you are even offered the position. And even then, so let me backtrack a little. You should know what's on your background. When they ask how many years they go back, you can ask that. When they say we do a background check, how many years do you go back? You can say that. 5 years, 10 years, because you should know what's on your background. And if you have something questionable on your background, you already know what it is because it's you. You were there. You were the one who did it. So what it is. If it's a bad check and it happened 10 years ago or 15 years ago when you were younger, that's what I would chalk it up to, is young and dumb. That's my favorite line that I tell people to use. That happened 15 years ago when I was young and dumb. I'm mature now. I'm past that stage in my life. I'm not even that same person. If it's more recent, that's kind of harder to explain away. But something that's old, you can explain away. Even if you got a fight in high school. Because I've worked with people who've gotten into fights in high school and they got arrested. And it's on their record. You're in high school. You're a child. That was 100 years ago. Those are the things that you can explain away. So in the interview, though, do not go in there sharing your business as far as all these things that you have on your background. It'd be a good idea to ask the interviewer how long they've been working at the company. So yes, especially when you get to the point when they ask, do you have any questions for me? That is a good time to ask, how long have you been working here? Or what do you like working about this company? Because it gets the interviewer talking, and it will build a connection. So you can ask that question. How long have you been working here? What do you like most about this company? Can you tell me about the company culture? That gives the person asking you the question, the interviewer, time to talk, and you can build a connection that way. Because they may say, I've been here 10 years. Oh, wow, 10 years, that's a long time. That's what I'm trying to do. Oh, I've been here 3 months. Oh, okay, well, you're new too. So how do you like it? How do you like being new? I mean, those are all follow-up questions that you can have with the person as well. What if the interview for internship, is it okay to ask if the internship will turn to a permanent position? So I think the question is, if you're interviewing for an internship, is it okay to ask if the internship will turn to a permanent position? Yes, it is. You can say, will this internship turn into, or can it turn into a permanent position? It's okay to ask that. Absolutely, it's okay to ask that. So that's an appropriate question to ask in an interview, even an internship interview. How to answer, why did you leave your last job if everything about your last job was toxic and you have nothing good to say? So, of course you don't want to go into the interview bashing your employer, your current employer or your old employer, because you don't know who knows who. So you want to be mindful. You don't want to go in there saying that's the worst. He was the worst boss I ever had. He was horrible. He was this, he was that. And that could be that person's cousin or friend or high school sweetheart. I mean, you don't know. So when they ask you, why do you want to leave? Some things that I would say would be, I'm looking for something new or I'm looking for something different. At that company I did, and I'd list my duties. And if that's the type of position you're going for now, I also like to do that here, as well as new duties too. So I would never bash them. You want to keep it on yourself. So don't focus on them, focus on yourself. Try something new. This is closer to home. I heard this company um, trains their employees to become, CNAs. So I had a person who was going for a position and they wanted to be a licensed CNA. And if they got this job, they would become licensed. So that's why they want to leave their old company. So you want to come up with something that's about you, not about the toxic work environment, because that's not going to get you hired. If you come with, well, they were messy, all they did was stand around. I was the only worker there. The rest of them were lazy. Nobody believes that. We're going to listen. The HR person will listen as you go through why you're so great, but nobody's going to believe it. So if you're coming from a toxic environment, you just go in there, take a deep breath. Why do you want to leave? I want to learn something new from a new company. I've been with this company for 2 years, and I don't think I've been with this company for 2 years, and I want to, do something different. And when I saw the opening that y'all had, that's why, I decided I'd apply. I'd take my skills and apply here. That you want to keep it on yourself. Ask about pay if it's not posted. If the pay is too low, how do you request more money before the job interview? That's great. I just did a video that's coming out on how to ask for a promotion and a video on how to talk about salary negotiations. But I can answer it right here today because I already have the question. When they don't talk about pay, you don't want to ask that in the interview. Hopefully they'll tell you. You can try to research and see, but sometimes research don't always give you an accurate amount, but you can try to research and see what the pay is. You have no power in the interview. You have no power till they offer you the job. So when they offer you the job is the only time that you can negotiate. That's the only time. That's the only time you have power, because I want you. And I told the rest of them goodbye. I want to hire you. So you would say at that time, great, I would love to work there. The pay, I researched the pay, and the pay said it's $7 an hour, and I want to make $8. And I'm just using that as a hypothetical question. Hypothetical answer, $7.25, because that's minimum wage. The pay is $7.25, and you want to pay $8. You want to make $8. That's your negotiation back. So then I would say, okay, $8 an hour. That's what you're willing. What if I pay you $7.50? So it's negotiation, and after you pass your 90 days, maybe we can go up to either $7.75 or $8 an hour. So again, your negotiation power is in the offer, not before then. Because once I tell everybody else bye, because it's you I want, then that's when you have the power. Because if you said in the interview, well, I want $8 and I'm not going to sit for nothing else, right? Which you can say, and you might be the better candidate, but she over here will take the position for $7.25 or $7.50. I'm going to go with that person because they haven't said they wouldn't take it. You want to, your power is in the offer. It is not a minute before then. Your power is in the offer. So once you get an offer made is the only time that you can effectively negotiate for a higher salary or different benefits. How long should a person work as an intern? It just depends. I mean, it depends on the type of position that you're going for. It depends on the type of position that you're going for. Some internships are 90 days, 6 months. An internship can be 18 months. Now, I would not recommend working a non-paid internship past, a couple of months, because especially if you really need a job. Because if you're working at the intern full time, when are you working to pay your bills while you're trying to gain this experience? So that great movie, Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith, it was an unpaid internship. But once they got through, the person at the top, the winner, the person who produced the most, was offered a nice job. And he struggled, but because internship is hard work and they expect you to work just as hard without getting paid. or with a little bit of pay, because sometimes internship does pay. With a little bit of pay, they expect you to work just as hard because they're looking to see what you can bring to the table. So it just depends, and you can ask them, how long is this internship? Is it 3 months? Let them, a lot of times they'll tell you up front, this internship is this long, and hopefully you can ask, what can you get out of it? But if you're an intern and you are, or looking for an internship, you need to make the most of your connections. Make the most of your time there, because you have cheerleaders. If you're an intern and you're working and all these people can speak highly of your character, you're more likely to get hired. So you want these people to say, they're doing a good job. This person's doing a good job. We should hire them, et cetera, et cetera, all these positive attributes. Or they may have connections and say, we're not hiring here, but, I know the person who works here, you're doing such a good job. I could be your reference. Boom. So if you're an intern and you are, or looking for an internship and you are interested in having an internship, then when you do it, work hard. Make connections, get to know people. And when I say get to know people, not the gossipers, because who cares about them? Not the drama people, but the people who are making moves, the people who are working, who come to work and work. You don't want to take up their time and take up their time to talk about nothing, but you can talk about work. Can you show me how to do this? How long did it take you to learn how to do this? You want to build those connections and you want to follow through, because you want them to see that you're a hard worker and that you should be at that company getting paid full time, or at an even better company. If working on a team, could you ask about the responsibilities of each team member, or should you keep those questions specifically related to your position? So that's a good question. You can ask what the team's what their responsibilities are. I think that's a good question. That's a good question because it gets people talking back and forth. And that's how you learn. I'm a big thing of, you ask questions because that's how you learn. If you want to know what the other people on the team's responsibilities are, ask that. Ask that in the interview, because you may be intrigued, because their responsibility may be to do an Instagram live. And you also like to do Instagram lives. So you could be like, I know how to do them. You may or may not be good at it, but I know how to do them. I'm willing to, help. I know that's their job duty, but I'm willing to help with that because I have done that in the past. So yes, it is appropriate. It is fine to ask the person that's interviewing you what your other teammates are responsible for.